Getting a certain number of kills in a game can be satisfying on its own, but some games take it a step further by offering actual in-game rewards. For example, Counter-Strike has killstreak skins, which they call stat track. Call of Duty has weapon skins that you can obtain if you get a specific amount of kills or different kinds of kills like headshots. And Team Fortress 2 features strange weapon variants. In TF2, strange weapons tracks your kills, and as you rack up kills, your weapon ranks up with a unique title. For instance, if you get 10 kills with your strange weapon, you level your weapon to be rank 1, also titled Unremarkable. The more kills you get, the higher your weapon's rank and title climb. One day while playing TF2, I had an idea. What if I got a strange variant for every weapon slot for every class, and earned a specific number of kills with each? When thinking of the amount of kills I should go for, I decided to go for level 5, which is called Uncharitable. In order to reach Uncharitable rank, I would have to get at least 100 kills with that weapon. Sure, I could have aimed for a higher rank, but let's be real, I'm not trying to play this game for the rest of my life. Uncharitable felt like a solid, achievable milestone. To make this a challenge, I set a few personal rules for myself. The rules I made for myself during this challenge would be I would not allow myself to change classes until I finished getting Uncharitable for that specific class, meaning I can't get half the kills done for Scout and then go play Soldier. And I would not allow myself to switch weapons until that specific weapon has reached Uncharitable rank. Once a weapon hits 100 kills, then and only then, I could swap it out or try a different subclass to speed up the process for the remaining weapons. With all that in mind, I bought several strange weapons to cover most. I will explain why I said most instead of all later. Of the item slots and officially began what I called the Team Fortress 2 Uncharitable Challenge. And as I took on this challenge, something about it surprised me.
I am owning you, you fat, bald, fatty, fat.
The first class I played for this challenge was the Scout. For my loadout, I chose the default scattergun, the winger for my secondary, and the stock bat for my melee weapon. Now, the reason why I went with the winger instead of the stock pistol is because of a personal rule I set for myself. If a weapon is usable by more than one class, I can only assign it to just one class. I decided to save the stock pistol for another class that I'll cover later. The winger, while having a smaller clip size, actually deals more damage than the stock pistol, and also gives the Scout a higher jump height. With my loadout set, I began this challenge on April 29th of this year. I started out playing casual TF2 and quickly realized after a few games that this was probably going to take a lot longer than I thought. After a few casual games, I finally earned my first Uncharitable title with the scattergun. One more. We can get it. Come on, we can fucking get it. I got it! Holy shit. 100 kills. Okay, we don't have to use this anymore, thank God. At that point, I called it a day. On the second day, I decided to take a more efficient but slightly cheap way of getting kills for this challenge. One of the easier ways to get kills quickly without having to wait every time you finish a game would be to go on Community 2 Fort games, where the respawn timers are non-existent and the kills are a lot easier to get. I didn't always do this for this challenge, but I felt like getting kills in casual was going to take a while and going on Community 2 Fort would be a lot faster. For the rest of the second day, I just got a few kills with the winger and a few kills with my bat in 2 Fort, and after a short break, I decided to hop on this casual game mode that became a lifesaver when it comes to getting melee kills. Medieval mode. I spent around a few medieval games to get some kills with my bat, and honestly, while this game mode is very helpful for getting melee kills, one issue I had with medieval mode that became a problem for the rest of the challenge would be since it was a casual game mode, it would only last 2 rounds and then the map would have to reload again. This was extremely annoying to deal with, but despite that annoying hurdle, I had the patience to get enough kills to get Uncharitable with my bat. With that done, I returned to the Community 2 fort to finish up the rest of my winger kills. After a bit more grinding, I finally unlocked the Uncharitable title for that weapon too. Surprisingly, the winger wasn't as hard to use as I expected, though it definitely wasn't easy to use as a scattergun. Overall, it only took me 2 days to complete, and honestly, Scout wasn't too bad to complete. But if there's one thing I learned early in this challenge is that I needed a lot more patience going forward.
Ow! Ow! Brah! Fire!
The next class I played was the Soldier. For his loadout, I chose the stock rocket launcher, the reserve shooter, and the equalizer. The reserve shooter has a reduced clip size, but it makes up for it by dealing frequent mini crits, especially against airborne targets. As for the equalizer, while it reduces the amount of healing you receive from medics, it increases your damage as your health decreases, a stat that turned out to be a lifesaver in medieval mode. I started playing Soldier on April 29th, the same day I got Uncharitable for all the Scout weapons. Just like with Scout, I started by playing a few casual matches and even jumped into some medieval mode games. I was actually feeling a little burnt out from grinding with Scout the same day, so I didn't push too hard. I just wanted to get a few kills in before continuing the next day. For the second day, I got lazy. I hopped on Community 2 fort for the rest of my challenge, but after my break, I did hop on a casual match, then got impatient and went back to Community 2 fort where I got both Uncharitable for my reserve shooter and rocket launcher. Using the rocket launcher was of course not too troubling to get, but to my surprise, getting reserve shooter kills didn't take as long as I thought. But after getting kills for both my primary and secondary, I went straight to medieval mode, and I would definitely say that the equalizer was kinda broken to use in medieval mode. Either that or I was just kinda lucky. Regardless, getting melee kills with it wasn't too difficult, and it didn't take long before I earned the Uncharitable rank with the equalizer. Overall, like with Scout, it only took 2 days to finish Soldier, and FYI, I know I could do each class all in one day, but I don't want to play TF2 non-stop all day just to reach my quota. That would make me go insane. So, for the sake of my sanity, I split up the days I get kills. Regarding Soldier, I really shouldn't be surprised how quickly it was getting Uncharitable as Soldier, as he's one of the easier classes to play, but for some reason, I still kind of was surprised about it. Hello, Satan here. You want to see my Pyro loadout? For Pyro, I went with a Flog, which, if you know, you know. The Scorch Shot, which is one of the more annoying flare gun Pyro weapons to deal with, mainly due to its mini crits. However, its damage isn't as good as the regular flare gun. And the Power Jack, which grants the Pyro faster movement speed and gives back health whenever you get a kill. As you can imagine, this is probably one of the noobiest and brain dead loadouts to go up against, which is why I'm using it. I first started playing Pyro on May 1st by playing a few casual matches and getting a handful of kills. After that, I decided to switch over to a Community 2 fort server. That's when I realized that picking the Scorch Shot as my secondary might not have been the best idea. The afterburn duration was just not long enough to consistently finish off enemies. But despite that, it only took me 1 day to get Uncharitable with the Flog. Shocker.
Schrodinger's troll.
Yo! That you wanna know is...
But after playing on Community 2 fort, I switched over to medieval mode and using the Power Jack turned out to be no challenge at all. I managed to rack up a lot of kills pretty quickly before calling it a day. For some reason, I don't know why I quit. I could have gotten Uncharitable for the power jack that day, but whatever. On the second day, I jumped back into medieval mode to finish off the remaining kills with the power jack, which didn't take too long. After that, I went into Community 2 Fort because there is no way in hell I'm getting score shot kills in casual. I didn't have the patience for that. After a while, I finally earned the Uncharitable rank with the score shot. Honestly, Pyro was one of the easier classes to get Uncharitable with. The only real challenge was the score shot. It's probably one of the more frustrating weapons to rack up kills with, thanks to its short afterburn duration and reduced damage. But aside from that, to the surprise of no one, with the loadout I used for this challenge, the process was fairly quick.
Your ass is ass and I'm the grass man, punk, you haven't.
Something funny about the demo loadout. The loadout I had for Demoman included the lock and load, which trades a reduced clip size and smaller blast radius for faster projectile speed, the stock sticky bomb launcher, and the Persian Persuader. The key word from the last sentence is had, because I changed my melee weapon from the Persian Persuader to the this weapon, because my dumbass did not read the stats for the Persian Persuader. The stats for the Persian Persuader consists of losing 80% of your ammo while trying to get kills with both the lock and load with its reduced clip size and the stick bomb launcher is pure pain. So instead of capping myself, I decided to just switch melee weapons so I can get my reserve ammo back. I did manage to get a few kills beforehand, but trying to get those kills was pretty frustrating. Anyways, I started playing Demoman on May 2nd, the same day I got Uncharitable for Pyro. For this day, all I did was just play casual and Community 2 Fort and got a couple kills. Even though Demoman is somewhat OP to some extent, I was still kind of struggling with him a little bit, especially with the sticky bomb launcher, as trying to get kills with those was kind of annoying. For the second day, I played one casual game and a Community 2 Fort game, which was where I got both Uncharitable titles for my primary and secondary. After finally earning those titles, I switched my loadout to go full Demo Knight and played medieval mode non-stop until I unlocked Uncharitable, which only took about an hour. After spending 2 days playing demo, honestly it wasn't the worst experience, but still, I couldn't help but feel like I could have finished this a lot faster if I was actually good at the game, which I wasn't. For Heavy's loadout, I chose the Tomislav, which trades a slower fire rate for improved accuracy, making it one of the most precise miniguns that Heavy has. The Family Business, a shotgun that deals less damage than the default, but fires faster and has a larger clip size. And lastly, I went with the Paco fists, which are essentially reskinned fists. I took a short 2-day break from TF2, but when I came back on May 5th, I actually did something I didn't think I had the patience for. With Heavy, something just clicked. This is the first class where I really locked in. What I mean is, it only took me a single day to get Uncharitable with all his weapons. The first thing I did with Heavy that day was play a few casual matches, and I managed to get a lot of kills within these matches. Something I learned from these casual matches is that one of the best maps to get kills with is Thunder Mountain. The reason why is because of how long Thunder Mountain takes to finish, meaning that you can get a lot of kills in if you are actually doing good on the map. It's kind of a good supplement map compared to 2 Fort. In this Thunder Mountain match, I actually managed to get Uncharitable with the Tomislav, which getting that title with the Tomislav was honestly not a challenge at all. The next thing I did was play medieval mode, and doing that only took around an hour, and while Heavy's movement speed was kind of annoying to deal with, getting kills with the Apoco Fist wasn't really that bad. After a few games, I managed to get Uncharitable with the Apoco Fist.
Wait, I literally died. Fuck. Wait,
Day's not over yet. Like the patch is coming at 11:59.
And after finishing my melee weapon rank, the next thing I did was just jump into a Community 2 Forge server and try to get kills only using the family business. I found that running Heavy with just shotgun turned out to be just as fun as using his minigun. Since I already had gotten a few kills with it earlier that day, it didn't take too long to hit Uncharitable with the family business.
oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Why'd you drop it and pick someone else up then, Jack, and then die to Jay?
Because I want Jay to get the bad item while I get the cool item.
Okay, nice, you're in.
I thought Jailbird was good.
It's okay.
Died.
Oh, he is getting the good item though.
But I'm dead though.
For Heavy's loadout, I'd say this was one of the most enjoyable classes to get Uncharitable with. Honestly, none of the weapons felt like a struggle to use. They all held their own and were fun in their own way. The thing is though, the next class I was kinda dreading because I felt like since Heavy only took a day to do, this next class might take the opposite. That's what I thought at first. But actually... Now I got some bad news about Engineer. You know how I said earlier that I bought several strange weapons to cover most of the weapon slots? Well, I kind of didn't fill up the Engineer's weapon slots completely because the strange construction PDA was around $260. As you would imagine, there is no way in hell I would pay $260 for the construction PDA. Unless someone wants to pay this for me, I ain't paying this much for an in-game weapon. So I decided to just not include the construction PDA for this challenge and just go with the Engineer's primary, secondary, and melee slots. For my Engineer loadout, I went with both the stock shotgun and pistol as well as the stock wrench. With the stock wrench, the only way to level up with the weapon is to get sentry kills, which takes forever, but we'll get to that in a minute. For the first day, I actually started Engineer on May 5th, the same day I got Uncharitable for Heavy, so since I already grinded Heavy that entire day, I only played a few casual games and that's it. For the second day, I played a casual game as well as Community 2 Fort, where I got a few sentry kills which kinda surprised me.
You wanna get some beer?
What are y'all even saying?
I'm saying. Get my mind clean out of here. Your mother is a tighter.
My mother is dead.
Concerning vocal range, engage. Hey Peter, would you like to have some?
Hey, can you not? Can you like not?
Can you fuck my mom?
Honestly, by the end of day 2, I still hadn't met any of my weapon kill quotas, mostly because sentry kills requires a lot of patience and getting pistol and shotgun kills is just frustrating. But thankfully, on day 3, I reached my quota with all my weapons. First with the wrench, which kind of surprised me. I thought I would reach Uncharitable with my actual weapons first, but cool I guess. Then I got Uncharitable with my pistol. And then finally got Uncharitable with my shotgun. Also, just for fun, I decided to get 100 melee kills with the wrench despite it not counting towards my rank. Doing that was actually kind of fun. Overall, the engineer took the longest so far to reach Uncharitable with, but I actually thought it would take a lot longer than that, but thankfully it didn't. But still unfortunate I couldn't fill all the item slots, but then again, I'm not paying for that. For my medical loadout, I went with the Bloodsager, which slows down Uber charge buildup but restores health with each hit, the stock Medigun, and the Uber Saw, which grants a boost to your Uber when you land a melee hit, though it comes with a slower swinging speed. Now, unlike the engineer, the medic surprisingly only took 1 day to do. I started medic on May 8th, and the first thing I did was, like usual, play some casual matches and Community 2 for it. I learned that in casual before the round starts, your Uber charge increases, which means in order for me to get Uncharitable with the Medigun faster, I Ubered as much as I can before the round started, just to get some Ubers in for my strange Medigun. The first weapon I got Uncharitable with was the Uber Saw. It wasn't too much of a challenge to use since the Uber Saw is one of the medic's best melee options. Letting it hit gives a huge Uber charge boost, making it both powerful and rewarding in close combat.
You can't shoot me, Julio. Unless you had like the Machina or something, but you don't have that.
The next weapon I got Uncharitable with was the Bloodsager, which using that weapon was really fun, and I understand now why people use this weapon for the subclass Battle Medic. In fact, when I first bought the Bloodsager, it came with this name.
My God.
No! No! No!
Just
Where'd you go?
Curse on him,
really stupid. Legit one shot that he's like, cheater! On the stick! Everywhere! So blatant, too.
Oh, true.
The last weapon I got Uncharitable with was the Medigun. I figured I'd do that weapon last since getting Uncharitable with that gun would probably be easy, but holy shit, you really need a lot of patience with this weapon because it takes forever to get Ubers sometimes. But after a while, I finally got Uncharitable with the Medigun. All in all, Medic really didn't take as long as I thought, even if the Medigun did test my patience. I never really used the Bloodsager like that before doing this challenge, but after using this weapon, I actually really enjoyed using it, and maybe someday I'll play more Battle Medic in the future.
Stabbing time. Stab, stab, stab.
I expected Sniper to be a class that would take a while to get Uncharitable with, but to my surprise, I got it fairly quickly. For my loadout, I stuck with the stock Sniper Rifle and SMG. And with my melee weapon, I went with the Hasha. This weapon. When using this weapon, it boosts your damage when your health is above 50%, but deals less damage when you're below that threshold. I first started playing Sniper on May 11th after taking a few days off from playing TF2. The first thing I did when getting on TF2 was like usual, but this might be a surprise, but for the entire day, I did not go on Community 2 for it. All I did was just play casual TF2, mainly because one of the games was Thunder Mountain, and you can get a lot of kills on that map if you're doing well enough, which I would say I kinda was. For the second day, I decided to finish my melee kills and go on medieval mode to reach my quota, which my melee weapon was the first to reach Uncharitable. The next thing I did was play another casual game, although I only really played one because I felt like I could just reach my quota faster on Community 2 for it, which I decided after playing that one casual match, I go on Community 2 for it, and just kept playing until I reached Uncharitable for both my primary and secondary. After a while, I got Uncharitable with my Sniper Rifle. Then, after more time, I got Uncharitable with my SMG. Honestly, looking back, getting kills with the Sniper Rifle and my melee weapon took about as long as I expected. What really surprised me though was how quickly I reached Uncharitable with my SMG, especially considering that it has relatively low damage output. I'm glad it didn't take too long overall. That said, the next class in this challenge is the one I've been dreading. Even though he's not my least favorite to play, in fact, he could actually be pretty fun at times.
Well, that was idiotic. I will stab this memory out of my skull.
Finally, we have reached our last class for this challenge, the Spy. If I'm being honest, I feel like with the Spy, I felt like this was going to be the class that would take the longest, and we'll get to that in a minute, but let's look at the loadout. For Spy, I used the stock revolver, the stock knife, the cloak and dagger because that was the cheapest invis watch, and the red tape recorder, even though this weapon sucks ass. I really didn't want to use the red tape recorder, but I ain't paying $18 for a weapon, so I'll just deal with the red tape recorder for now. Anyways, for the red tape, since that weapon has different names towards the rest of the weapons in the game, I decided to go with the rank that is equivalent to Uncharitable, which is called Unfortunate, and the same goes with the cloak and dagger. So when starting with the Spy on May 16th after a short 4-day break, the first thing I did, and I always do, is play casual, but the thing was that I actually made a lot of progress with both my revolver and especially my knife. I even managed to get a few sap kills, and honestly getting red tape recorder building kills has to be one of the most frustrating challenges ever, as this weapon sucks major ass at sapping buildings. But thankfully, if someone else destroys the building while your sapper is on it, it still counts as your building destroyed for your strange weapon. I think the reason why I progressed a lot during these casual matches is due to one of the matches being Thunder Mountain, which, like I said earlier, you can make a lot of progress in a good Thunder Mountain game. But after playing some casual, I went into Community 2 Fort, where I got my first Uncharitable or Unfortunate rank for Spy, which was for the Cloak and Dagger, and honestly, it was one of the easiest Uncharitable / Unfortunate rankings to get.
I just wanted a crit punch, but I didn't get my crit punch.
But for the rest of the day, I decided to try to reach Unfortunate with a red tape recorder, which in order to reach that, you would need to get at least 30 buildings destroyed with the weapon, and trying to take down buildings was probably one of the most frustrating things I had to deal with during this entire challenge, as it is so easy for engineers to kill you and fix their buildings quickly. But after a while, I managed to get Uncharitable or Unfortunate rank on my red tape recorder, and called it a day. For the second day, I almost had both my knife and revolver kills done, but I was not really feeling it that day because for some reason it took me a while to get the knife and revolver kills I needed to reach Uncharitable, but after some patience, I finally earned Uncharitable rank with my knife. And for the final weapon of this entire challenge, I reached Uncharitable with my revolver too. So, to my surprise, Spy didn't take as long as I thought. He just took as long as the other classes. I will say, just because he didn't take that long doesn't mean there weren't frustrating parts of trying to get Uncharitable rank with the Spy, but I'm kind of glad though this didn't take as long as I thought. I thought it was going to take like a week or more, but thankfully it didn't. After playing for more than 2.5 weeks, probably could be less if I didn't take any breaks, I made a realization about this challenge. You might have noticed that with some of the classes, I was always surprised with how long some of them actually took to reach Uncharitable rank with. That was because I really thought doing this challenge would take more than a month to do, but I actually decided to lock in, and because of that, I was able to finish this challenge fairly quickly. This just goes to show that if you really take time to focus, you can get a challenge like this done quickly. I felt like this challenge taught me different strategies for getting kills more efficiently, and using various weapons helped me understand how to play each class in a unique way. Sure, some of them are stock weapons, but regardless, I still felt like I learned a little bit during this challenge regarding using the different weapons for each of the classes. I even learned that some weapons that I thought would take a while, like the shotguns or even the sniper rifle, didn't take as long as I thought. Sure, there were some weapons that still took a little bit of time, like the scorch shot, but most of the time I felt like each weapon took as long as I thought or took less time than I expected. Even with over 1,000 hours in this game, I think using a wide variety of weapons during this challenge still taught me a lot. It showed me that there's always more to learn no matter how experienced you are. To wrap things up, let's rank all the classes from the easiest to get Uncharitable rank to the hardest. Number 9, the Heavy. Getting kills with the Tomislav was so easy, and the same goes for the Apocalypse and surprisingly the Family Business. I didn't struggle with the Heavy at all, so I would say he's one of the easiest classes to get kills for, especially that it only took 1 day to do. Number 8, the Soldier. Even though this class took me around 2 days to finish, mostly because I was lazy, it was still another very easy class to get Uncharitable kills with. The stock rocket launcher was pretty easy to rack up kills with, and the same goes for the reserve shooter and the equalizer. The only reason Heavy felt easier is because the rocket launcher required a bit more effort to get consistent kills. That's really the only difference between the two. Number 7, the Medic. I was actually kind of surprised by how easy it was to get Uncharitable with the Bullet Soccer and to rack up kills with the Uber Saw. I expected getting Ubers with the Medigun to be straightforward, and it was, but it still took a lot of patience to reach 100 Ubers. That's why Medic lands on this spot. The Medigun just takes a while to hit Uncharitable compared to his other weapons. Number 6, Scout. This was the first class I played, so I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this challenge. But getting scattergun kills turned out to be pretty easy, and surprisingly, the Winger wasn't even too bad either. In fact, I might start using it more after trying it here. Scout also ended up being one of the easiest classes to get melee kills with within medieval mode. Number 5, Pyro. Pyro would be a lot higher on the list considering that the Flog and Power Jack kills were so easy to get, but honestly the score shot was extremely frustrating to get Uncharitable with, which is why it lands on this spot. Number 4, the Sniper. I'm not the best when it comes to playing Sniper, so getting Uncharitable with his rifle took a bit of time. The same goes for the SMG in his melee weapon. It didn't take forever, but it definitely wasn't as quick as some of the other classes. Number 3, Demoman. Now, this class is often considered one of the best in the game, and I'd agree, but only if you're actually doing good with him, which I'm not. So it took me a while to reach Uncharitable with all his weapons. Honestly, I'm not even sure why I chose the lock and load for this loadout, but it could have been worse. That said, playing as Demo Knight was really fun. Number 2, Spy. I honestly thought this would take a lot longer, but the next class ended up taking way more time than the Spy. Thankfully, it didn't drag on too much. In fact, I probably would have finished Spy in a single day if I hadn't gotten lazy. I expected getting backstabs to be a challenge, but I had a solid game on Thunder Mountain that really helped with that. The revolver wasn't even too bad either, same with the cloak and dagger. The red tape recorder, however, was fucking terrible to use, and I hope to God I never use that weapon again. I'm so thankful I didn't have to destroy that many buildings with that weapon, or else I would probably still be doing this challenge now. Aside from that, Spy was alright. He didn't take as long as... Number 1, the Engineer. This is the only class that took 3 days to do, ranging from getting shotgun and pistol kills to having to have the patience to get sentry kills. He took a while for me to reach Uncharitable with, and hell, technically I still haven't completed him if you are counting the PDA, which I hope you're not. Overall, Engineer took the longest to finish in this challenge, but I would say I wasn't frustrated the entire time. I would say I was more annoyed with how long it was taking rather than frustrated, so thankfully playing Engineer wasn't hell. All in all, this was a pretty fun challenge, even though it required a lot of patience and time to complete. I actually ended up learning a lot about the game throughout the process, and I was pleasantly surprised by how quickly I was able to get through some of the weapons I thought would take longer. Despite all this, there's one thing I want to say. Don't even bother asking me to do this challenge again on Hale's own. That's just not happening.